Caracas, Venezuela, 2018. You're Jonathan Segovia. You have an engineering degree, 5 years at university, professional credentials. The Bolivar collapses. Your engineering firm shuts down. You take a job at a car wash, $3 per day, 12-hour shifts scrubbing windscreens whilst your supervisor treats you like disposable labour because you're Venezuelan. Your engineering degree? Worthless paper. You switch to driving for Cabify. No degree required, just a car and a functioning GPS. You earn $25 per day, 8 times your professional salary. Your neighbour, who never attended university but learned auto mechanics from his father? He's repairing cars for $30 per day, paid in US dollars, whilst engineers with master's degrees wash windscreens for bolivars that lose value by the hour. Same collapse, different skills, different outcomes. Every economic collapse follows the same pattern. Credentials evaporate, institutions fail, but practical skills maintain exchange value. I examined the forensics from Weimar Germany to Venezuela, 7 decades, 5 continents. The evidence is consistent. Let me show you what nobody's telling you about human capital, and why the skills you can perform with your hands have more survival value than the degrees on your wall when the institutions conferring those credentials cease to exist. Berlin, November 1923. You're an accountant. You spent years mastering double-entry bookkeeping. You work for a textile firm. The mark is collapsing. Yesterday, bread cost 200 million marks. Today, 200 billion. Your salary arrives. By the time you walk to the bakery, 15 minutes, the price has increased again. You can't afford bread. Your accounting skills? Worthless. The institutional system that gave them value has ceased to function. Meanwhile, the carpenter who lives downstairs just repaired a merchant's storefront. He was paid in bread, sausage, and coal. No currency involved. He eats tonight. You don't. The Weimar hyperinflation ran from August 1921 to November 1923. The mark fell from 75 per US dollar to 4.2 trillion per dollar. People carried money in wheelbarrows because currency depreciated faster than they could spend it. White-collar workers, accountants, bureaucrats, clerks found themselves suddenly superfluous when institutional systems contracted. Skilled tradespeople in manufacturing, construction, and repair maintained or increased compensation. Barter became default. Here's what the forensics reveal. Credentials depend on institutions. Institutions fail during collapse. Skills function independent of institutions. Havana, Cuba, 1993. You're a physician. You spent 7 years earning your medical degree. The Soviet Union just collapsed. Cuba's subsidies vanished overnight. Your hospital has no medicine, no anesthetic, no oxygen. You earn $25 per month from the state. Meanwhile, you notice something. Taxi drivers earning $25 per day from tourists. Farmers selling vegetables in informal markets, earning more in a week than you earn in a month. The government authorises self-employment in over 100 occupations, but explicitly excludes physicians, dentists, teachers, researchers. Your medical degree is now a legal barrier preventing you from earning survival income. You have 2 choices: practice medicine and starve, or abandon your credential and drive a taxi. 10,000 Cuban doctors made the same calculation. They chose the taxi. Cuba's special period commenced in 1991. GDP contracted 34%. Before the crisis, physicians enjoyed professional status. After the crisis, farmers became the highest earning group. The hierarchy didn't just flatten, it inverted completely. The Cuban state recognized that professional credentials had become worthless in the new economic reality. The credentials weren't just economically obsolete, they were legal barriers preventing survival. Venezuela, 2016 to present. 94.5% poverty rate by 2021. 76.6% extreme poverty, the highest ever recorded. Yet within this devastation, a critical distinction emerged. Educated professionals with credentials found themselves unable to practice their fields. Individuals with practical, portable skills discovered significant economic opportunity. Jonathan Segovia, describing his experience. No one lives in Venezuela, they only survive. Unable to find formal engineering work, he initially took employment at a car wash, where he reported exploitation and discrimination. When he joined Cabify, his practical ability to drive and navigate, skills entirely disconnected from his professional credentials, generated income substantially higher than professional employment in crisis-racked Venezuela. Venezuelan drivers working for Uber and Cabify across Latin America reported earning between $600 and $1,000 per month, twice the minimum wage in many countries. These earnings vastly exceeded what professional work could provide in Venezuela itself, where institutional collapse had destroyed the economic foundation for professional practice. The mechanism is simple. Professional credentials require functioning institutional systems to generate value. Hospitals for doctors, courts for lawyers, engineering firms for engineers. Practical skills like mechanical ability, transportation, personal service, or repair work directly address individual human needs independent of institutional structures. If you're realizing that the skills you can perform with your hands have more collapse resilience than the credentials on your wall, that practical knowledge retains exchange value when institutional systems fail, hit that subscribe button. This is the Independent Financial Historian. I perform autopsies on occupational hierarchies so you see which skills survive before the institutions fail. Drop a wrench emoji if you're building practical competencies instead of collecting credentials, and tell me what skill category you want me to dissect next. This breakdown came directly from your comments demanding forensic analysis of which occupations maintain value during collapse. Not theory, evidence from Weimar to Venezuela. Here's the paradox that destroys conventional wisdom. The more your occupational value depends on institutional systems, the more vulnerable you become to systemic failure. A medical degree requires a hospital, a law degree requires a court system, an accounting credential requires functioning businesses with books to balance. When institutions collapse, credential-dependent occupations become economically obsolete. But the plumber needs no institution. The electrician needs no bureaucracy. The carpenter needs no administrative system. Their skills address direct human needs, independent of any institutional structure. Credentials are institutional dependencies. Skills are portable resilience. Higher education provides genuine value during institutional stability. Professional credentials increase earning potential and create opportunities. These benefits remain real, but credentials and skills serve different functions during systemic failure. Credentials leverage institutional systems. Practical skills function independent of institutional systems. During collapse, that difference determines who eats. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects total employment will grow by 5.2 million jobs from 2024 to 2034. But aggregate figures mask critical divergences. Skilled trades demonstrate robust growth. HVAC mechanics and installers, 8% growth, approximately 40,000 openings per year. Electrician employment, 9% growth, about 81,000 openings annually. Solar photovoltaic installers, 48% growth from 2023 to 2033. Plumbers, pipe fitters, maintenance workers, 4% growth, approximately 43,000 vacancies per year. By contrast, office and administrative support occupations face declining trajectories. General office clerk positions, 5% decline between 2019 and 2029. The Manufacturing Institute and Deloitte found the manufacturing skills gap could result in 2.1 million unfilled jobs by 2030. $1 trillion in lost economic value in 2030 alone. Manufacturing executives reported finding the right talent is now 36% harder than 2018, even though unemployment has nearly doubled the supply of available workers. This paradox, simultaneous unemployment and unfilled positions, indicates contemporary labour markets have systematically deprioritized training in occupations that maintain resilience across economic conditions. And here's the kicker. Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, has cautioned that AI could potentially eliminate half of all entry-level white-collar positions. leading to unemployment of 10 to 20% within the next 1 to 5 years. JP Morgan research indicates that during the next recession, AI adoption might induce large-scale displacement for occupations consisting primarily of non-routine cognitive tasks. The occupations most threatened by AI? Those requiring credentials, institutional infrastructure, and cognitive routine processes. Occupations that also proved vulnerable during past economic collapses. The occupations most likely to persist? Those requiring physical skill, environmental adaptability, and direct service provision. Occupations demonstrating historical resilience during systemic failures. Rural Iowa, 1933. You're a traveling carpenter. The banks have failed. 25% unemployment. Your carpentry tools are worth more than any bank account. You arrive at a farm. The barn roof is collapsing. You offer to repair it. The farmer has no cash. Nobody does. But he has chickens, eggs, preserved vegetables, a smokehouse full of ham. You work for 3 days. You walk away with 2 weeks of food, a winter coat, and a blanket. The banker in town who foreclosed on 6 farms. He has a university degree and a title. He's eating once a day because nobody will sell him food for the worthless scrip his bank issued. You eat 3 meals a day because you can repair the infrastructure that produces food. At the height of the Great Depression in 1933, 24.9% of the US workforce, 12.8 million people, was unemployed. Wage income for workers fortunate enough to retain employment fell 42.5% between 1929 and 1933. Community-level bartering systems emerged to facilitate resource distribution when currency ceased functioning effectively. The skills most valued in Depression-era barter economies were precisely those providing fundamental human services: carpentry, plumbing, mechanical repair, medical knowledge, food production. When currency fails, economies revert to barter. In barter economies, your value is measured by what you can do, not what paper you hold. Moscow, Russia, 1992. The Soviet Union collapsed 6 months ago. Shop shelves are empty. Your pension is worthless. But you have a dacha, a small garden plot outside the city. You know how to grow potatoes, preserve vegetables, raise chickens. Your neighbor is a university professor, PhD in economics, no gardening skills. He's selling his books for bread. You're eating potatoes, beets, and eggs from your garden. Same economic collapse. One of you starves, one of you survives. The difference isn't money, it's knowledge. 71% of Russians had dachas. They produced 50% of Russia's food by value on 3% of arable land, produced 92% of potatoes, 77% of vegetables, 87% of berries and fruit, 59% of meat, 49% of milk nationally. The Russian people did not experience famine after the USSR collapsed, specifically because of household food production skills. Those who had the knowledge ate. Those who relied on institutional systems starved. Decentralized practical knowledge outperformed centralized institutional systems by orders of magnitude. So what does this mean for you? Diversify human capital towards skills demonstrating historical collapse resilience: water purification, food preservation, basic carpentry, mechanical repair, medical knowledge, agricultural skill. These competencies address fundamental human needs independent of any institutional system. You cannot confiscate agricultural knowledge. You cannot inflate away the ability to grow potatoes. You cannot tax the skill of food preservation into obsolescence. The skills that matter during collapse are the skills that kept humans alive for millennia before institutions existed. If this forensic breakdown gave you a new lens on human capital resilience, hit subscribe. This analysis was built entirely from your comments, asking which skills actually matter when currencies fail and institutions collapse. Drop a wrench emoji if you're learning to repair, build, grow, or heal instead of accumulating paper credentials. And tell me what occupational category you want autopsied next. The question isn't whether your credentials have value. The question is whether your skills function independent of institutions, and whether you're betting your survival on systems that fail first during the exact scenarios you're preparing for.